Welcome to Ask Colleen, Spiritual Solutions for Life Situations. I'm Colleen St. and I will be the host for this podcast. My aim is to provide you with the guidance and support through life's challenges, spiritual development, change, healing, and growth. Drawing from over 2 decades of experience as a spiritual practitioner, I will share my wisdom and offer answers to the questions that may weigh heavy on your heart and your mind. Remember that you are not alone, you are capable, and the light within you is unstoppable. Hello and welcome. I am Colleen St. and I'm thrilled to have you joining me today on Ask Colleen, Spiritual Solutions for Life Situations. I apologize for the delay in podcasts and that I have not done some video podcasts recently as life is under construction. My entire street is under construction. So I am currently in a closet recording this. So I didn't think everyone wanted to see me in a closet recording the podcast so I can have peace from the drilling, the banging, and all the construction equipment. So let's get started into today's episode. And I have missed being at the mic and sharing all of the divine wisdom that can help you to navigate your journey. And today's topic is one that is pretty close to my heart, and I'm sure this will tickle your soul if you are living, breathing, and here on our Earth School experience. And we are failing forward, and how setbacks can fuel your soul to take a leap into living. And this has been a consistent message that has been coming up with my clients that I'm coaching, that intuitively they can feel this incredible nudge that is getting louder and louder within them. But the fear and the failure aspect is really holding them back, looking foolish, feeling shameful. And as we go into this episode, I want you to sit within your own thoughts and just be aware and observe if you resonate with the information, if it feels like, oh yeah, she's talking to me, because this is such an important time in our life that we start taking radical accountability and responsibility for the healing that we need to do. Take responsibility for what it is that we choose and what we want, and acknowledge what we feel. And I'm just so glad that you're all here. And again, if you're like me, you know that failure, disappointment, and fear are a part of the journey, but they feel really paralyzing, both making decisions for our personal life and in business. But here's the thing, these experiences don't have to hold us back. And in fact, that with the right mindset and the tools, we can turn these obstacles for growth and learning. So I can't wait to dive in. And I'm just going to throw a question out there to you. Think about something that once felt like such a disappointment, such an incredible heartache, but after you were able to move through it and grow through it, you realized that it was a blessing in disguise. And I know myself, there were so many times that I had attachments, whether it was a relationship or a possibility of a new job, or even as to buying a vehicle at one point. I really thought I needed to get this car, and it was not the car I wanted, but I was limiting myself on what I could afford, and I was limiting myself on, what I deserved. And as after hours in the car dealership, I was rejected. They didn't give me the car because, my credit, self-employment, and all this other stuff. And I was just so kind of shameful. I was disappointed. And after I licked my wounds, and a few weeks later, an opportunity came up that was actually for the car I wanted. It was a better price, and everything was so smooth in how it turned out. And that's just a small example. This fear of failure or shame, it goes deep and it bleeds into many different areas of our life. So in coming to terms with what it is that you want and what holds us back, we have to learn how to have an intimate conversation. So fear of failure often holds us back, but it's not the enemy. So the word failure alone can make it cringe, right? It's like we've all been there and we just pour our heart and soul into something and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work out the way we hoped. But what if we could see failure from a new light? What if we could recognize that it's a stepping stone on the path to success? Every person who's ever achieved something meaningful has experienced setbacks. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, is famously quoted for saying, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that it won't work." And if you are a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a person who has a passion in your heart and wants to bring light into the world and wants to bring joy into your world, you will know that there are 10,000 ways that things are not going to work for you. And there's passion in that perseverance. And the key is to learn that those failures and the uses for those lessons are to fuel your soul's next move. So ask yourself, what can I take away from the experience that I viewed as failure? Like, what would I do differently next time? Then take that wisdom and apply that as you're moving forward. Because often what we do is we take those first attempts in learning, FAIL, my favorite, I love acronyms, first attempts in learning, FAIL. We often put that in our backpack and we carry it around in life with us like that defines us, rather than viewing it as this just showed us really good data that what is not working. And if we are moving into a space where we want to have expansion in our life, we want to extend and excel past the limits of what we thought, those intimate conversations with ourselves are going to be golden opportunities for you to learn about what you think. Because often we feel the disappointment and we sit in that disappointment and then build a world around it. And I'm here to tell you, along with the angels, that it's okay to feel the feels. Feel the disappointment. Feel what it feels like, but don't create a world of belief around that disappointment. Look at athletes. They go over and over and over the plays again and again and again. It's practice. And if we could look at things that we attempt to do in life as a practice, we're practicing for the big show. And it's the shift in vibration. It's the shift in energy around it. So plain and simple, we've all been there. Things don't go as planned. It feels like our dreams are slipping through our fingers. It feels like the relationship we wanted and we've built this mental world around is released. It feels like we get one shot. And truthfully, if something is built into our soul's design, if it is part of our soul's plan, we don't just have one opportunity to reach it. That's a human designed belief that you get one shot and it's done. If something is built into your soul's path, in that energetic vortex around you of your life, you are always going to have multiple opportunities to reach it, claim it, and live it. So it's not just, this was my one shot. Often when we hold that mindset, we are the ones who stop the projection of energy that is aligning us to that energetic match. We're the ones that move ourselves further away from the belief of the dream or the possibility. And then we build a whole nother mental wall and block ourselves from fully experiencing, what did this lesson tell me? How can I be better in this next opportunity? Ask yourself, if you are going into a desired outcome, what attachments do you have to it? What are you betting on it if it doesn't come to completion? If a relationship has ended, it may leave you feeling lost and alone. But here's the deal. Those feelings of sadness and frustration, they're valid, and it's okay to feel them. Give yourself permission to grieve the process, to grieve the loss of what could have been, to grieve the loss of a dream. But again, don't let the disappointment define you. Because after you've allowed yourself to feel the feelings, it's going to give you an opportunity to shift focus onto you, to what you can learn from the experience and how you can pivot from it, right? What we have lived, everyone says hindsight is 20/20. Why do we feel so confident at what we don't want to do? It's because we've lived it. Now we're going to take that data and shift and pivot and apply potentially some of the same concepts, but make the changes that are working in alignment with our soul's information, our intuitive voice inside that it's leading us to. I've often joked that plenty of times I've gotten insight and inspiration and then stole the wheel from Jesus, crashed a car, and then came back and asked what the heck happened. Well, my attachments to what I think it should look like, my impulsiveness to get it done, let's just move through it so I can check this box off, actually created the stress and the disappointment that I was afraid of experiencing. So I created a lot of the experiences with the attachments. But as we cannot let the disappointment define us, and after we've allowed ourselves to feel the feeling and shifting the focus, how can I learn? Ask yourself, what is the lesson here? What opportunities might be waiting on the other side of disappointments? I've worked with so many women, and even myself, who've experienced a divorce or infidelity in a relationship, or they've experienced an ending to something that they were not ready for. But internally, they knew it was coming. And they felt as though, they had failed or they weren't good enough, especially if there's a relationship betrayal, those normal feelings of blame of why wasn't I enough? And what the angels always share is that it's not that you're not enough, it's that you're not aligned with the person. If you're moving from a place of integrity, well, the person with lacking integrity is going to become neon to you. Just because we're familiar with something doesn't mean that it's good for us. So in the opportunities that I have gained through my losses have been so miraculous. I could never have seen it when I was standing in the pain, when I was standing in the disappointment. But giving myself the time, the space, and the compassion and the forgiveness allows you to be an observer. So you don't have to just absorb all of the negative feelings, but that you can observe how you can grow, where you've limited yourselves, where you've sabotaged yourselves because of fear. So what are the opportunities that could be waiting on the other side of disappointment? And often when we feel disappointments, either in relationships or friendships or jobs that we didn't get or things that we wanted, most likely when our soul is involved, we have set the bar pretty low because we've been making those leaps of faith based off of the insecurities we had and not the soul magic that we hold and that we possess. So as you take the next step forward to what's next, you'll begin to build momentum in moving forward. And that's what failing forward looks like. It's that we experience a failure and then we ask ourselves, how do I grow? What did I learn? And what do I know I don't want to do again? But the fear doesn't have to win. It's what keeps us up at night. It's what makes us question our abilities. It can hold us back from pursuing our greatest dreams. Maybe that you've been feeling that you have this amazing idea. It's just been burning a hole in your brain, but the fear of failure keeps you from taking that leap. You may be a spiritual adventurer who wants to open up their own spiritual practice. But that idea of, I'm not spiritual enough, like, who am I to be helping someone else, creeps in. That's all fear. And it's all laced to the fear of failure. You're that person who may want a really healthy relationship, but you believe that it happens to other people. You believe that you may have too much emotional baggage or too much in your past that holds you back, or just a consistent pattern of pulling the right partners to you. Every opportunity of awareness is an opportunity for change. We sometimes fail by limiting ourselves and what we're capable of, and then we keep drawing to us the opportunities that prove our deepest belief correct. For fear of failing in a relationship, we attract failing relationships. Notice the patterns that keep surfacing up. But when that fear of failure keeps you from taking the leap into your life and living your soul genius, you're not allowing yourself to fully be seen, because you're allowing that judgmental person inside of you hold you back. But fear doesn't have to have control, and you have the power to face your fears head on. So ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? And often it's not as bad as we think, but yet left unattended in our mind, it is straight up catastrophic. It is one tiny step towards what scares you. Ask yourself, what scares you? Is this my belief or someone else? If you're afraid to start a business, then maybe just register your business as a name, or setting up a website that's not published yet. See how it feels. If it's about having a healthy partnership, start writing yourself letters that represent the partner you want in your life. Start living it as though it exists. Pay attention how often you're ruminating over past events, getting angry at the past, and wishing something would change in the past, but really wasting the precious moments of the present where change actually can occur. So as you take action into facing your feels, you'll build the confidence and you'll realize how capable you are. You're more capable than you could ever imagine. Like, when did we learn to set the bar so low for ourselves? When did we learn that desiring things that are at the highest level are not being selfish? Like, when did we start dimming our light? Why do we dim our light? Because if we are hiding ourselves, we are not able to fully live in our soul's genius. So our spiritual practices will help you to build resilience, and building resilience to navigate failure, disappointment, and fear. And some spiritual practices and methods that you can use that will be a game changer over time. These have shifted my whole world. When I became that observer of my decisions of the past, became aware of what I actually felt about my decisions, and then became an advocate to making change in my life, these practices all supported me. So meditation, mindfulness, and I'm not talking meditation where you're just sitting there and you are, waiting for what comes to you, but more so a meditation of just being in your body, taking deep breaths, feeling your body, feeling a body scan and asking, where am I holding the fear of failure? Where am I holding the fear of a healthy relationship? Where am I holding the self-doubt? Because as we hold on to these limited beliefs for so long, our bodies keep the score and our bodies hold on to them. So in this meditation practice of a body scan, it's about closing your eyes, taking deep breaths, and really being present into what your body is telling you. Body is an amazing map to where emotionally you're blocking yourselves. When you recognize it may feel tightness in your chest or in your shoulders, don't put a story around the why it's there or blaming yourself or blaming others. Acknowledge it, be aware of it, and release it, and allowing yourself to have the peace as it moves out. And practice that. Do small segments of time. If you feel antsy or agitated or you feel uncertain or fidgety, then just give yourself 5 minutes to do it. Doesn't matter what level spiritually you are on, your fundamental practices are always going to be your tool belt. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and when I feel anxious or agitated, I don't start with an advanced practice. I go back to my basics and I go back into my breathing. Because if I'm feeling anxious or agitated, I'm not in my soul's genius. I am out of my body. So I go back to what brings me back into my natural essence, and that's our breath. Practicing self-compassion, treating yourself with kindness, looking at yourself as your best friend. What would you want for your best friend? How would you encourage your best friend? Practicing the Hawaiian prayer of the Ho'oponopono. 4 simple, powerful words. A soul prayer to God and yourself on a soul level. Forgiveness of the human. I am sorry. I forgive me. I thank me. And I love me. Those 4 powerful words are the cancel, clear, delete button that allows peace to be in place of all of the heaviness of negativity that we hold in holding ourselves responsible for things in the past, other people's negativity, whatever it is. It's about being aware and not aligning a blame to anything and owning it. Not where it came from or how it absorbed, but owning it as it needs to go. That prayer is so powerful. So powerful. Going into nature, grounding in, to fully be on our divine essence, our soul's genius. We are a harmonizing symphony of our body, our mind, and our soul. Our mind goes rogue when our body's not grounded. Our soul goes unheard when our body is not grounded. Mind, body, and spirit working with the spirit. Because when we are living from a space where our soul is speaking, we need to be listening with our soulful ears. I chose not to go to college after high school. I chose to go into a technical program because I was better with my hands than I was with the books. My parents were amazing. They supported me because they knew who I was. Other people looked at me with that, sad face, that like, oh, okay, well, I hope that you can have success and, because you don't have a degree. And at that time, I questioned myself, like, was I limiting myself? Well, when I sat with myself, even at the ripe old age of 18, I said, you know what, Colleen, you've struggled every day you've spent in a classroom. Why are you going to pay big bucks to struggle every day in a classroom? You're great with your hands. You're great with people. You learn by doing. A technical program was for me, and I was wildly successful with it. So if I was to allow myself to be afraid of other people's judgment of me, I would have truly sabotaged myself and failed, right? Because that fear of knowing that I was not a great student and then going into an educational facility where I was not ready for. Down the road, I became ready for it. But other people's interpretation of the path that we should be walking would say, you go to school, you go to high school, you go to college. It's the only recipe for success. Anything else is failure with hopes of good things coming to you. And I remember someone said to me, and it really actually designed my belief about myself and they said, well, if you're not going to college, then you need to be a hard worker because it's the only way you'll ever survive. And I really respected the person who said it to me. And I became a workaholic because I never believed that if I didn't work so hard that I wouldn't be successful. And then thank God the angels stepped in and kiboshed that. They were like, that's BS. That's someone who was emotionally disconnected from their life and they worked as a distraction. And I was like, you know what? I see it differently now. But when I was young and impressionable, that really hurt. And I thought, I have to prove myself. And that is how deep and how back it will go into our tapestry as to why we are so afraid of failure. So failure, disappointment, and fear are not the endpoints. They're opportunities for growth and learning. And by reframing failure as a stepping stone to success and coping with the disappointments in a healthy way and facing your fears with courage. And the Latin word, the root word of courage is cor. And that means heart in Latin. So when we are facing anything that brings fear into our life, and we take the courage to face it, means we're facing it with heart. And you can build the resilience to navigate the life challenges. And remember to incorporate all the spiritual practices into your daily life to stay grounded and focused on your soul's path forward. So you are never failing, but failing forward when you reframe your belief around it. Because you are so successful. Everything you have grown through, everything you have endured and experienced, the wisdom in those lessons is so palpable in your pulse by allowing them to show up in your life as teachers. So keep being brave, and most importantly, keep being you, peeling back the layers of illusion and allowing your light to shine the unique gifts and talents into this world. So I'm sending you waves of angels and blessings. Have an amazing life in learning and processing. Thank you for tuning in and joining Colleen St. Michaels on this transformation journey. If you have any questions, insights, or topics that you'd like to engage or ask, please visit www.colleenstmichaels.com under the podcast page of Ask Colleen to submit your question. I look forward to connecting with you next time. Have a beautiful day.